Are you ready? Here's the Italian word of the week, everybody. Chiacchierone. Cawfee Talk. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Cawfee Talk with Cannistraci. Thank you for joining me this morning. Every time I say coffee now, I feel like I hear my own accent. I keep saying that because it's like nails on a chalkboard. But apparently you guys like it because you subscribe to this podcast and you listen to it every week. I cannot tell you how happy and grateful I am that you guys have been tuning in. People are coming to my shows now and they're screaming Cawfee Talk when they see me. And I love that. So thank you. Keep sharing. Sharing is caring. And all right, guys, let's get into it. I did a podcast a few weeks ago on the term motrivam, which we dived into, which either meant you were starving to death or you would do anything for money. And I've had other guests on this podcast, Christina Perry, Renee Graziano, and we've spoken about how words and phrases we grew up have such a negative connotation, but in the end, they're kind of always said with love. And there's kind of sometimes a positive spin on it. So I took a positive spin a few weeks ago on motrivam, and now I want to do it on the word. Are you ready? Here's the Italian word of the week, everybody. Chiacchierone. All right, guys, what is a chiacchierone? A chiacchierone is somebody who won't shut up. So I was the kid in school that I was an overachieving child, probably because I was daughter to a single mom, and dad was an alcoholic, and very tumultuous upbringing. So I found myself to be an extremely anxious child who was always trying to, do right in school and be the best and get all the attention. And every year my report card, back in the day, who remembers report cards that used to grade you? Keita, did you have your report cards like this? Because you went to Ohio at a certain point, right? Where they would give you like an S for satisfactory, N for needs improvement, U for whatever else the other term was.
I went to those. I had those when we lived in New York.
Okay, when you were in New York, yeah.
Ohio, there wasn't that, but it was New York.
I think it was E for excellent, G for good. That was it. You rated E for excellent, G for good, S for satisfactory, N for needs improvement. Okay, so my entire report card, and I'm not bragging. Seriously, I was a nerd. I went to Bronx High School of Science. My report card would have E's for everything, and then it would be N, a big red N with a circle for needs improvement under self-control. So E for everything, N for self-control, and that's because I never shut up. I remember my mother came to school and the teacher would say to her, Tara's doing great. It's just, she's talking a lot. And my mother would be like, well, what do you want me to do? Her grades are good. She comes home. She does her homework. I don't even have to tell her to do her homework. She's like, I can't tell her to shut up. I wouldn't shut up at home. In fact, when I was a little girl, I was about 2 years old and I started stuttering. And it made my family very nervous. Picture being in an Italian-American home, right? And, the only grandchild, I was the only grandchild at the time, and all of a sudden there was something wrong with me, right? Like I was stuttering. So my mother took me to a doctor. I'll never forget, I was little, and I still remember somewhat of, they put like these things on my head, and they had all these tests done for me, and I had a seizure when I was 18 months old, so they were nervous. And when they did the testing, it basically just came down to there's nothing wrong with her. She just has so many thoughts in her head that she can't get them all out. So the minute she starts one, it's almost like a nervous tic. I would just start stuttering. So the doctor told my Italian mother, whatever you do, don't make it obvious and don't get nervous around her. Okay, that was impossible. So here I was living with my grandparents. My mother would tell the story. She said we would, I was the only grandchild, so they glorified me. They would sit me in the middle of the table. I would talk. And when I would start to stutter, my mother would tell everybody, you can't react. And she said my grandfather would be at the table, in his white T-shirt and probably shorts. And he would be banging on the table, being like, Gesù Cristo, Maron. And he would get all nervous. And my grandmother would be banging the kitchen cabinets because they weren't supposed to react in front of me to make me more nervous. And they weren't supposed to correct me. So basically, they were just probably making me more nervous. And I would just sit there and but, and I would be stuttering. And they would all just have to sit there and pretend like it wasn't happening. And I was a real chiacchierone. And being that way which again, I say these Italian words and phrases have a negative connotation, but being that way is probably what has helped me the most. Being able to speak, being able to talk to so many different people in a room. When I started working for the Yankees, I had to do in-house reporting live in front of 50,000 people on a given night. Then I had to go into the stands, talk to drunk fans. Then I had to go interview, senior players. I had to do interviews with owners. I had to go into charities. I had to walk around the stadium and speak to different people. So that adaptability, that ability to be a real Chiacchierone and talk to everybody helped me professionally in the biggest way possible. Even now, stand-up comedy, the art of speaking, a lot of comedians are natural introverts. Believe it or not, as much as I won't shut up and I don't stop talking, I need that alone time. I will want to be, on nights that I'm not working, I don't want to go out. I don't even want to go to dinner with friends because I don't want to talk anymore. I don't want to be on anymore. For a natural Chiacchierone, I want to shut up sometimes. I want to watch TV. I want to curl up in a ball. I don't want to be extroverted all of the time. But to get on stage and to talk and have the ability to talk to strangers, I think I'm in a field of all Chiacchierones. And as negative as that was as a kid, they would complain about me. Oh my God, she won't shut up. It really helped me as I got older. So I don't know if one of those words, I don't know how you guys spell it or even say it phonetically. I know if the way the word looks is not the way I pronounce it because of the New York East Coast Italian, we harden our things. I think Chiacchierone actually begins with a C. I don't know. We have to probably Google it. But I'm saying it with the hard G, Chiacchierone. We're actually going to, hold on. I'm going to see. Let's Google it. All right. Paul's looking it up.
Paul?
Oh. Paul was our last guest. Chiacchierone. Italian word.
How do you spell it?
Hold on. I got it, I think. Yeah. So basically, okay, this is how it's spelled. The Italian word, it's Chiacchierone. Chiacchierone is Chiacchierone. Chiacchierone. The Italian-American word of the Cawfee Tawk podcast today, guys. I'd love to hear your stories about words that you recalled. I'm going to feature one of these words every week. These are just short little solo episodes where I kind of tell you guys stories about me. And I thought that stuttering one, I got to find a way to bring that stuttering one to life on stage because I think it's just funny that my grandparents couldn't react. And my mother was very nervous. She was a nervous Italian mom. She was an 80s mom, so I think I've said this on the podcast before. She would still let me leave the house and say, come back when it's dark. Because we lived in a different time then. But I was an only child from my mother, not from my dad. Papa was a Rolling Stone, and I'm always scared I'm going to meet somebody. He's going to be my sibling. But my mother, I was her only child, and she was very fixated on, like, if God forbid something happened to me, which may be a real fear for most mothers in general, but definitely mothers of only children. So my mother was very neurotic with me. And she would take me to the doctor for everything, and she was very nervous. So she definitely took me to the doctor once I started stuttering. And lo and behold, I just had too many thoughts going on in my head, which is probably what I have today, only now I don't have a problem getting the words out, but it definitely probably causes most of my anxiety. So that's a podcast for a whole other day. Hope you guys enjoyed the word of the week. Make sure you go on my website. I have my Cawfee Tawk mugs there. But most importantly, I have a list of my shows, guys. I'll be in Boston, Rhode Island. Bunch of Chiacchierones are going to be at that show. Those shows are selling so well. I know my people are there. Vegas, Utah, Denver, Long Island, New Jersey, Montreal, Toronto, Niagara Falls, and Philly. So I'll see you guys soon. Make sure to go to tarajokes.com for your tickets. And this Chiacchierone, we'll see you later.
Cawfee Talk.